The pagan history of obelisks, their global presence, biblical connections, and modern-day symbolism. Origins and pagan history of obelisks. Obelisks trace their origins to ancient Egypt, where they were erected as sacred monuments dedicated to the sun god Ra. These towering stone pillars, usually made from a single piece of granite, symbolized the sun's rays and were often placed at the entrances of temples. Egyptian pharaohs commissioned them to honor their rule and demonstrate divine favor. The precise craftsmanship required to carve and transport these megalithic structures only added to their mystique, making them not just religious symbols, but also testaments to power and technological prowess. Beyond Egypt, obelisks were later adopted by the Greeks and Romans, who transported many from their original sites and erected them in prominent locations throughout their empires. Roman emperors, particularly Augustus and Constantine, saw them as symbols of imperial strength and divine authority. As Christianity spread, these obelisks remained, often recontextualized, but still retaining their ancient significance. The Vatican obelisk. One of the most famous obelisks in the world stands in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. Originally erected in Heliopolis, Egypt, during the reign of Pharaoh Amenemhat II, circa 1900 BCE, it was later transported to Rome by Emperor Caligula in 37 CE. It stood in the Circus of Nero, where it bore witness to the executions of early Christians, including the martyrdom of St. Peter, according to tradition. Pope Sixtus V had the obelisk relocated to its current position in St. Peter's Square in 1586. While the Vatican's official stance is that the obelisk serves as a Christianized symbol, its ancient pagan roots remain undeniable, prompting discussions about its continued symbolic connection to the old gods. The obelisk is the second highest in Rome, and the only one not to have hieroglyphic inscriptions. Its origins are uncertain. Pliny the Elder S. Naturalis Historia tells of an obelisk erected in Heliopolis by Pharaoh Nincorio, perhaps Amenemhat II, 1929 to 1985 BC. Subsequently, the obelisk was used by Cornelius Gallus to adorn the Forum Julio in the city of Alexandria between 30 and 28 BC. The obelisk must have been brought to Rome by the Emperor Caligula, 37 to 41 AD, who used it to adorn his own private circus upon the grounds of which Vatican City State now stands. In 1586, at the behest of Pope Sixtus V, 1585 to 1590, the obelisk was moved to the center of the square. The architect Domenico Fontana designed its base and oversaw its elevation. It took 907 men, 75 horses, and 44 winches to erect the obelisk. The Pope also had the bronze sphere at the top of the monolith, replaced with a cross. Bronze lions were realized for the foot of the base. In 1723, under Pope Innocent XIII, 1721 to 1724, for bronze swags and eagles were added on each side of the obelisk. The base bears inscriptions. On the north and south sides, the texts commemorate the transfer of the monolith. The east and west sides, however, bear the formulas of exorcism pronounced during the consecration of the obelisk. Since 1982, the traditional St. Peter's nativity scene is built beneath the obelisk at the behest of Pope John Paul II, 1978 to 2005. The United States is home to numerous obelisks, often placed in politically or culturally significant locations. Some of the most well-known include the Washington Monument, Washington, D.C., the tallest obelisk in the world. This 555-foot structure was completed in 1884 to honor George Washington. Its design is heavily influenced by Egyptian obelisks, raising speculation about Masonic or esoteric symbolism embedded in its construction. Bunker Hill Monument, Boston, Massachusetts. A 221-foot obelisk commemorating the Battle of Bunker Hill during the American Revolutionary War. Cleopatra's Needle, New York City, New York. An actual Egyptian obelisk originally erected by Pharaoh Thutmose III around 1450 BC, later gifted to the U.S. by Egypt in the 19th century. Bennington Battle Monument, Bennington, Vermont. another obelisk dedicated to a Revolutionary War battle. Sergeant Floyd Monument. Located in Sioux City, the Sergeant Floyd Monument honors Sergeant Charles Floyd, the only member of the Lewis and Clark expedition to die during the journey. Standing 100 feet tall, this white sandstone obelisk was completed in 1901 and holds the distinction of being the first National Historic Landmark designated by the United States. It marks Floyd's final resting place on a bluff overlooking the Missouri River, Soldiers Monument. Situated in Davenport, the Soldiers Monument commemorates Scott County's Civil War soldiers. Erected between 1880 and 1881, this 50-foot English granite obelisk is topped by an 8-foot statue of a Union soldier facing south toward the Mississippi River. Each side of the monument bears inscriptions honoring the soldiers' bravery and dedication. Iron Post. Found in New Albin, the Iron Post is a historic boundary marker placed in 1849 by Captain Thomas Lee of the U.S. Army Corps of Topographical Engineers. This cast iron obelisk stands 54 inches tall and marks the border between Iowa and the Minnesota Territory, serving as a significant surveying base for the region. Each of these obelisks serves as a testament to Iowa's rich history and the individuals who shaped it. London, England, Cleopatra's Needle, a gift from Egypt, stands on the Victoria Embankment. Paris, France, the Luxor Obelisk, originally from the Temple of Luxor in Egypt, was transported to the Place de la Concorde in 1833. Istanbul, Turkey, the obelisk of Theodosius, brought from Egypt and placed in the Hippodrome of Constantinople. While obelisks themselves are not directly named in the Bible, their presence in Egyptian culture links them to biblical events. The Israelites, during their enslavement in Egypt, would have been well aware of these towering symbols. The Bible frequently condemns idol worship and the construction of monuments dedicated to false gods. Exodus 20 verses 3-5. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. Deuteronomy 12 verses 2-3. Destroy completely all the places on the high mountains, on the hills, and under every spreading tree where the nations you are dispossessing worship their gods. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Asherah poles in the fire. Jeremiah 43 verse 13. He will break the obelisks of Heliopolis, which is in the land of Egypt, and the temples of the gods of Egypt he will burn with fire. The obelisk's association with sun worship, particularly in relation to Ra and later Greco-Roman deities, placed them at odds with biblical teachings, which consistently warned against revering objects associated with pagan deities. Today, obelisks are not just historical relics. They continue to serve as symbols in various institutions. Many courthouses, government buildings, and corporate headquarters feature obelisk-like structures, suggesting an enduring fascination with their ancient power and symbolism. Government institutions. The Washington Monument's prominent location and Egyptian styling suggest deeper allegorical meanings tied to authority and enlightenment. Corporate use. Some multinational corporations incorporate obelisk shapes in their logos or architecture, perhaps as a nod to enduring power structures or hidden esoteric knowledge. Freemasonry and occult symbolism. Obelisks frequently appear in Masonic traditions, as some interpretations connect them to the Hermetic principle of as above, so below. Obelisks have traversed time and cultures, retaining their symbolic significance from their Egyptian origins through the Greco-Roman era and into modern times. Whether as markers of power, tributes to deities, or architectural statements, they remain potent symbols. Their presence in cities worldwide, including the Vatican and the U.S., continues to spark discussions about their deeper meaning, biblical warnings, and the possibility of lingering allegiances to old world traditions. Whether viewed as historical monuments or as esoteric symbols of hidden influence, obelisks remain among the most intriguing and enduring structures of human civilization.